Take your seats. Also the panelists. Do some paneling, panelists. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
I have this. We'll start with you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to be discussing briefly entrepreneurship, fintech. How does this align to us as ex-Georgia Tech and current alumni, and how can we help each other, Georgia Tech and alumni? Last night, we did one thing right and another one which is questionable. We went out for dinner, thanks to Marta. Went to this fantastic Turkish restaurant. I don't know if you know it, but had a really good time. And we decided to follow the advice of Alessandro. That was the right thing to do, which was to have a few Turkish raki delights. Then he left. Some of us, like Eva and myself, are experimentalists, so we went for it. Then he left, and what we didn't do necessarily well, we'll see, was to be controlling of our dealings for the day today. And we decided that to end the day, we would do something dynamic. You know, you guys are all thinking about catching planes and the drinks and what have you, right? So we decided that we would end the day a little bit dynamic. And in order to do that, do a little bit of very simple whiteboarding and have some more interaction. So we hope you enjoy it. Really, these poor people just found out about it not long ago, but they've been very willing to play the game. So please help us out on this whiteboarding, quick whiteboarding. So let me allow them to introduce themselves first. Then, as you say your name and you introduce yourself, can you please share your view of fintech entrepreneurship? We'll go one by one, and then we'll jump on the whiteboard. My connection to GE is ME 91, dual degree in math, and currently and happily board member in METS and Spain ambassador. So happy to be here with all of you. So please.
Sure, I'll get started. So I'm Damien. I'm the COO at a company called Capital on Tap. We do small business lending here in the UK. I graduated Georgia Tech '09, ended up going to UGA, unfortunately, for law school. I was a lawyer for a few years, and that was the second terrible choice after UGA. And then I finally got involved in real business, which was the best choice I made. I've been in London for about 5 years, working I joined a small company through a Georgia Tech friend. I met her husband at a pub here in London, and we got drunk, and then he offered me a job. And so that's how I escaped the law. I joined the company, there's about 10 people, about $500,000 revenue, and now we got about 100 people, 50 million revenue, and doing well. So that's me. Fintech entrepreneurship. I think fintech is one of those giant categories that you can go super niche and still have $1 billion company, where there's just not that many kind of industries and verticals you can do that in. My company, we do credit cards for small businesses in one country, and we'll probably hit 80 million revenue pounds this year, so $100 million. Like, that's so niche and still a huge business. So it's just one of those things where you can just carve out any sector, any little piece, and the more you learn about it, the more niches you find, whether it's cross-border invoice finance, like you just keep picking away at stuff, and there's just tons of value to be created all around the world. So I think it's one of the most interesting things that is global in its impact and has just the opportunity to make tons of money for yourself and create much better products for your customers. So that's it.
Hi, I'm Bruce Beckloff. I CEO of a venture company called Block Ventures. I graduated in ceramic engineering in '96, undergrad and grad. You won't see many of us out there. There's about 30 in the world, I think, doing ceramic engineering, and we get out of it quite quickly, actually. I spent quite a bit of time at, previously, before I started the venture company, a company called ARM, so the guys that make all the microprocessors. And previous to that, I was over in the States doing building chips at Texas Instruments. View on fintech, I mean, regardless of the well-balanced panel that we just saw on Brexit, the great thing about fintech is its global nature. The cloud doesn't really care whether there's necessarily trade agreements. I mean, we're seeing that with Amazon and taxing and things like that. And I think one of the interesting things is if you look from a venture point of view, you look for areas that are, you know, ripe for disruption. I mean, finance and fintech is quite a long ways along that way. It's getting disrupted. But you look for things that are heavily regulated that, you know, take a lot of paperwork or are moving from paperwork. We were just talking a minute ago about insurance. The insurance market is by far one of the ones that after, you know, as part of fintech, that is just really ready to have something change because the world is still a paper-based system over there. So I think fintech is, I mean, in my venture group, we look deeper down. We like the stuff that actually accelerates fintech or the models or things like that, the deep tech. But I mean, in all instances, the great thing about London and the UK, and I'm sure some of the others, European areas as well, the strength of the US, the benefit of the US, you have so many customers of technology in the US. This is the one area in fintech, certainly in London currently, and depending on what happens after Brexit, blah, blah, that you have customers, you have talent, you have tech, you have all the things that are necessary to really get a startup off the ground in a specific industry. So I think we're in pretty good shape here right now, and there's a lot of work to be done.
Hi, my name is Ash. I graduated from tech in 2008, ECE. I actually went to study in a French engineering school called Supélec, and from Supélec I got into Georgia Tech. And actually, I discovered what I do today when I was at Tech. So I still remember Bertrand Bousset had organized this talk with a venture capitalist, and I happened to meet him, and he brought me back into venture capital. So that's what I do. I'm a venture capitalist. I love the fact that we invest in technology businesses, you know, but these are technology companies which are selling technology to different areas to make their business processes more efficient. So I'm a partner at a fund called Tempo Cap, and what I do is I do growth equity, investment checks of 5 to 15 million in businesses which are doing 10 to 15 million pounds or more of revenue, and I do secondary buyouts in these companies, or I invest primary equity. And I've been doing venture capital since I started my career after tech, so I've done early stage right up to growth stage equity, and in between I was an entrepreneur, so I started a business, raised money, and eventually sold it, and that's how I came back to the UK. On fintech, I have a slightly different view. I think UK has an inherent advantage when it comes to fintech, predominantly because it was a place for finance for a very long time. So you have a lot of bankers who've been there in the space. It attracts a lot of talent, engineering or financial, to the banks, which has given London this advantage. Bankers from Germany or France or Switzerland all come to the UK to work, and hopefully that'll be the same after Brexit, but at least for now. And what happened is fintech has been there for a long time. Fintech had a different word, but people have been doing fintech businesses since the early 2000s. It's only in the last, I would say, 10 years or so, tech in finance became sexy, and you got bankers partnering up with tech engineers to start ventures and taking small blocks out of the banks and trying to build businesses. What Damien was referring to is niches and trying to build a superior product to what the bank can offer. And at the same time, you have banks like Barclays, you have banks like Santander in the UK, you know, who have provided the platform to these fintech companies to kind of start, and this gave them a real advantage to build businesses, which is why you're seeing some of the companies like the Revoluts and the N26 in the European scale. So I think Britain has a real advantage when it comes to fintech, and now you're seeing a third wave of technology layer being added to the finance. So you've got the finance, you've got the tech, and now you've got security guys or the AI ML guys, you know, trying to add another layer to this and trying to build the next generation of products in finance. So I think fintech is here to stay in Britain, and Britain has a big advantage towards it. And this industry will continue to attract a lot of talent and money because of the advantages I just cited earlier.
Perfect. Shall we move on to playing with these views? So something we do in Georgia Tech is learn to use resources and fine-tune around focus areas, right? So throughout the day, we had the luxury to listen to Yves, Rafael, Sudhir, and Keith on what are those initiatives that Georgia Tech believes are the right topics to work on, correct? So rather than to reinvent the wheel in this, brainstorming we're going to do now, we picked a few topics that seem to be relevant. Granted, most of these topics are already in the market, so that's also good. And decided that this conversation now should take place mostly around these ones, which are AI, data analytics, InVenture, CreateX, Mets Campus, FinTech Ventures, and iCorps, which I think covers most of the presentations today, right? Of course, we can have a conversation where other topics may come up, and there you guys, if you want to raise up your arm, please do so. We'll discuss it happily as well. So within this framework and others, what we decided to do is to try to come up with not many ideas, a couple are good, on two areas. One is, what is it that, according to them, yeah, these are you guys, what is it that, according to them and their experience within fintech innovation, with their background in Georgia Tech, what are those things that we can or they can do now, that is to say, actionable, them to Georgia Tech and vice versa? What can Georgia Tech do for them, associated to their domain expertise and those topics? So not an easy triangle here that we're trying to mix, but we're all pretty smart, right? And at the same time, if we come up with any ideas that may be visionary, we'll write them up here. So this is not for now. We can be wild. I think, Rafael, you mentioned 2040, right? That's an ambition time, so many years from now, but time goes by quickly. Same thing, what is it that we can do for Georgia Tech and vice versa? So this is open floor. They've given us some thought. Again, we have to give these people already a lot of kudos, right? Because they are brainstorming as we are talking. They have very little time to prepare. So whatever they say, please, let's just follow it up. So guys, go ahead. Who would like to start?
So I'll probably start with now available, actionable. I'll start with A, branding, and B, talent. So branding is first. Creating a brand awareness of Georgia Tech in Europe is something where we can add value as an alumni. I've been in the UK for 5 years. Prior to that, I used to work in Paris. And there are very few people even today in the UK or in France who know Georgia Tech. And it's a kind of a pity because it's such a great school and not many people know about this. People know about MIT, people know about Virginia Tech at times, but they do not know enough about Georgia Tech. So I think A is branding and brand awareness. So I think each one of us are brand ambassadors for Georgia Tech, and we should try and push the brand name within the communities we work in to... We. So...
Help branding.
Pardon?
Help branding.
Help branding, exactly. So be the brand ambassador.
Please go ahead.
And also, sorry if I'm jumping.
No, you go ahead.
And the other thing I think is, it's about the alumni network, because I really appreciate what Marta and Sandrine have been doing. But I wasn't aware there was a Georgia Tech alumni network for 5 years. And I've been here, and I do not know there are 900 people here. So it's just, I would love to connect with these people. I would love to know what they're doing. I finance tech companies. Had I known some of these guys might be entrepreneurs, I might be able to look at their businesses and help them. And at the same time, there might be many people who are very qualified and are looking for opportunities. And because we invest in tech companies, we can guide them towards the opportunities in our portfolio companies, saying, hey, why don't you look at this opportunity based on their experience? So I think creating a stronger alumni network in Europe is also, I think, something where we need to put a proactive effort.
From our side?
Our side.
All right, very good.
I mean, we've been provided the platform now, but I think the onus is on us to push.
In Europe?
In Europe. I mean, with WhatsApp and just easy to connect across Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to give it a go, Bruce?
Yeah, I'll try. I mean, I liked your use of the word "we" came up with this, so that was good. I think the main thing that we could provide is mentorship. I'm an American living in London for 16 years. It's different. I'm sure it's slightly more different, or not as different as some of the other European countries. But when I was in the States, especially Atlanta, Georgia, you didn't really, in fact, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution had the world in a column, right? So you got like one, and in fact, you watch the news at night. It's like the 5-minute world, and then you got back to the liquor store robbery or something like that around the corner. So I think, for us that are over here, and it's not about the sort of things that are going on with the partnership programs that are already there, but, we could certainly provide a lot of guidance and mentorship on what it's like to actually leave the country of the United States of America.
Leave the country.
Leave the country. We could even do an
Mentorship.
exchange program. Yeah, I'm not necessarily going to take a student into our house or anything, but we can probably find some accommodation somewhere around town. And again, from a venturing point of view, we see so much of the startup, the entrepreneurship, a lot of the things where the individuals that around our own local area are trying to start and get going. I think we could probably help accelerate some of the alumni of Georgia Tech on their way of starting up companies, being successful, those sorts of things.
Brilliant.
So,
To your point, Europe is the biggest digital export market for the US. And the only one, because you cannot go to China.
yeah, no, I agree. We'll see how that goes in a few months' time, but
But
absolutely.
the US is the largest goods market for German cars, but Europe is the biggest digital export market for the US. Google, Facebook make a lot, half the profits here. And the same would go to fintech. American fintechs could enter Europe.
Yep, and I think a lot of, again, what most Americans, as you get to know them, like is English-speaking countries. So, the UK does tend to be a great first stop for those English-speaking Americans, and then filtering out into Europe as well. So, again, my personal view is the only way we're going to improve the situation, whether Brexit, no Brexit, get more communication going. And as an American, I think, I quite like being here in Europe, and I think we need to encourage that.
No, but to your point, it's vice versa as well. You got most of the European companies, when they are scaling, especially the British ones, the first port of call outside the UK is actually the US. And this is again where European companies can attract American talent, especially from Georgia Tech, to start working and helping expanding European operations in the US. So that's another place where you're absolutely right. To increase the digital footprint of European companies in the US, you can start leveraging the Georgia Tech network.
Damien?
So
Damien?
if I was going to, my voice is too loud for a mic. If I was going to say what Georgia Tech can do is, I think what we've said here and what you've seen here is Georgia Tech people want to get involved and we want to help. That's why we're sitting here. But at the same time, we're all kind of lazy and don't want to figure out how we can help. It needs to be kind of spoon-fed to busy people. But having said that, on the branding stuff, on the mentorship stuff, I look at companies like a Y Combinator, and they do an incredible job of saying, hey, you post an issue, right? You're like, hey, I'm looking for a VP of people. And you have like hundreds of companies and smart people that are gonna help you out. Today, between kind of what I call the school, the athletic association, Mets, it's all disconnected. I love Georgia Tech. I go back every year for football games, and I found out about CreateX today. That's crazy. I try as hard as I can to stay involved, and I find out about huge initiatives coming to an event like this. And so, to do the branding, to do the mentorship, we need the institution to align. If I was the CEO and I saw this, I'd be like, this division's not talking to this division, it's not talking to this division. We just need to fix this. Right? And you just sit in a room and go, guys, fix this. And then we can help you. All right? And we need to get better at asking for money. So I went to UGA, And like every day, they're just like, hey, do you want to donate? And like, what if like, one day I'm just like, yeah, sure. Right? Like I could just like be like, yeah, I'm in a generous mood. I've got $100. Why not I just give that? They ask me every day. They set up Georgia football events in London, and they just have like a way to like, oh, do you want to donate? You just sign a pledge, and then they follow up with you every week. Like you just ask for money. So it's get money and centralize the structure. Those are the two things Georgia Tech should do, in my opinion.
If I may, that's why we're here. So it's a good beginning, isn't it? This is probably one of those steps. So how would you summarize that? Aligned, centralized?
Centralize the communication strategy and be greedy.
I think Marta loves that last part.
I think to go back to, my voice might be loud enough as well, but back to Ash's point, I mean, one of the biggest challenges of VC here is the UK is actually incredibly good at technology. And that we've got 4 of the top universities in the world here, blah, blah, blah. And what we struggle with, and again, our startups, the first port of call, no offense to Switzerland, is the US. That is the market everybody goes. Asia's too far, it's difficult, it's a bit weird, and we'd like to understand it better, but we're simple, we've only got so much cash. Let's go to the easy spot and we want to go to America. So the first thing we need to do is find somebody to set up America for us. You know, we'll send over a couple of people, things like that. I would love to understand the sort, and you know, I have I've got an inherent trust that somebody that's got a Georgia Tech education has a step up in the world, because I know it wasn't that easy to go through the school and get done. And therefore, there's already a tick box in the CV that says this individual is probably quite good. I mean, I would love to understand the alumni resource pool that I could be contacting, because there's already sort of a connection there, because I went through some of the same things. And therefore, help finding the resources over there that could help me expand our companies here from the UK.
So something like help us find the alumni talent.
Well, yeah, some way to, you know, who's over there, who's looking at stuff. Because the other thing, you know, the UK is just beginning to embrace the entrepreneurial spirit and the idea that you might not get paid and your mortgage might be, they're not a huge risk-taking group over here. Americans do tend to be. Not saying one's good or bad, but again, we need that help as a, you know, I could really use help understanding how to better expand into the US. And if Georgia Tech was the conduit for that, outstanding. I'd rather do that than go to MIT or Stanford for the talent.
But you need to have the data.
I've got to have the data, I've got to know who it is, I got to know who's up. It's almost like, you know, yeah, any way to foster that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was thinking about it actually. I constantly hear from the CEOs that it's very hard to find engineering talent in Europe. And, you know, certain specialized fields is extremely hard to find good quality engineers starting off in their careers or somewhere midway. And I'm just thinking about it, you know, if there was a way to connect with Atlanta to say, okay, we are looking for 5 engineers who are starting off in ECE or in computer science. This is the companies which want to recruit. We don't mind sending the companies over to States to meet the students, but at least there could be a way to start a communication with the students to start seeing who we can hire. There could be a way to start bringing more students. So I think just on the helping finding talent, absolutely, all day long. Hear the CEO saying every day that it's so hard to find engineers.
Brilliant. Should we move? You want to continue
I
adding?
just have one more point on talent is it shouldn't just be school talent. It should be later career talent. Like a lot of the time, if I wanted to find a head of someone to launch the U.S., I don't want a college grad, but I want to find a Georgia Tech person. And so I think it's not just the how do I get new grads.
Correct. So it's at all levels, right? But depending on especially engineering talent, I agree with you that. But on the higher talent, you need the alumni network.
So it needs to be properly staged for you to.
Taking your point, you would like to have a database of the Georgia Tech alumni tracked in their career. You can search who's from Georgia Tech and is good at human resources doing that.
We have an answer for that. Go ahead, Marta.
Perfect segue. I was going to wait, but the demand is here, so I'm going to give you the supply. One of the things that is really becoming very important in tech is from Atlanta, from whatever discipline you are looking to hire. I have a pile of these brochures, and we'll put them maybe on the back where we have the cocktail reception or post-conference reception. But this is to date, we have placed over 2,000 interns in the last 5 years, 6 years, in various companies all over the world, and very often they are your next super engineer. But as you rightfully say, our communications capabilities internationally, especially, are not great. So I'm giving you first crack at this, and we're going to get better at the communication side.
Brilliant. Any other comments on this side? Anyone else wants to? Please pitch in.
Add something to Damien's point. PR. Right? So if you look at, this has to come top of the house. So look at Hollywood, like all sci-fi, everywhere is MIT, non-digital and maybe something needs to be done. It has to be.
The new football coach, Jeff Collins, is really good at this. Like, you just go follow him on Twitter and then just roll that out to the organization. Like, that's it.
PR. From GT to us. Yeah. But this retrofits itself somehow, right?
Top of the house, whatever it's paid PR, so you have to do it.
Okay. Top of the house.
I had three thoughts. One, that I kind of get on the group was talking. One was around job board. Like Burberry, I post a job, it goes internal and it goes external. And anybody applies internal, even if you're completely unqualified, and you apply for a job, I will respond to you personally and say, here's what I think you don't qualify. Here's why I don't think you qualify. So if you're interested in this, I'll have a coffee with you. I can talk through what you need to do if you want to do this job one day. So I think for me, if you had something internal for alumni, and I get a notification these candidates are free, or they're applying for a role. I mean, I was thinking just like in general, I can apply. I can post them on the alumni board when I have jobs that come up. But that's one. The other is around the marketing. So marketing-wise, I totally agree with the points around PR. But I wonder if there's a level of distillation that needs to happen in marketing, because the reality is like everybody gets a ton of communication. And if the marketing is highly distilled, in the sense that when I get an email from tech, if it has just a few messages in it, I'm much more likely to absorb it and action it than I am getting, here's all the things going on. I think there's a propensity for us to say, here's all the things we're doing, and that's good for me to know in a mode like this, where I'm absorbing it over a few hours. But if I'm glancing at an email of something super simple, like what's the message? And I don't need really like a lot of text, just like one distilled comment. You see this a lot in like luxury advertising, is where I come from, right? So you're seeing like just one action message, a lot of white space in the design of that communication. And then the last piece was around recruiting. So when I left tech, I recruited 4 or 5 people from tech within the first year and a half, because they sent me back to campus recruiting. And I sat down with computer science majors, and I was like, you want to get a job at Expedia, here's what you need to do. Go back, take these 3 software engineering courses with this professor, the ones I took, read this one book. I guarantee you I can sail you through the 5 or 6 interviews that we put. And a handful of the 20 or 30 that stood in my queue at the career fair did that, and we got them all jobs. Right? Because I knew exactly what those classes were. So now I might not know what those are today, but other alumni will. So figuring out how you can close that feedback loop.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I just think about my friend's experience, McKinsey guy, and McKinsey has an alumni board, right? So you do your 2-3 years at McKinsey, and then you just go to the McKinsey board and you just get jobs. Like you just like apply and they're like, yep, 2-3 years at McKinsey, here's a job. If I want a job at a PE firm or a VC firm after this, I don't know how I would figure out how I'd find a Georgia Tech hiring manager from a VC firm. Like that would be very difficult, but it shouldn't be.
I'm just going to add one more point, because it's very interesting that I learned about CreateX today. I think when we look at schools, right, especially in the US, you get to hear so much about MIT. Other day I was speaking to somebody from IBM, and they're talking about Columbia's entrepreneurial program and the incubator that they're running, and we hear Stanford all the time. I've never heard about Georgia Tech, and it's a bit of a pity that I did not know about this before. But I think somehow creating the differentiation on the East Coast by showing that Georgia Tech is an entrepreneurial-friendly school, where you can come and study, but at the same time you have the platform to launch your dreams as an entrepreneur if you wanted to. I think that could be a real attraction for talent from anywhere in the world. Because today, especially in the millennials and younger, everybody wants to work for themselves. Everybody's looking to do something different, and at the same time they want a degree. So I think if Georgia Tech can use that to its advantage, binding this alumni network with the message that, we will help you launch your business, especially how it was shown before, I think could be a real attraction for talent, not only in the States, but I also think we could do something similar in Europe. And guys like us, we're from that industry, we'd be happy to help. But I think that could be a real differentiation for Georgia Tech to create its name, especially from a European context, but also in the US.
So 2 words, CreateX, FinTech Ventures. Where do you see them here?
And I think from a finance perspective, I still think London would be a great base. A lot of French entrepreneurs also move to London to sell their businesses. And I don't see that stopping. Plus, you got a lot of support from the ecosystem here. And I think from a CreateX perspective, it might be a better location to set it up. After that...
In London?
In London. This is,
so both?
Yeah.
Both.
A parallel structure to what you have in Atlanta. And there are so many corporates who can get involved. There are so many VCs who can get involved. There are so many entrepreneurs, ex-entrepreneurs who would want to come and help students, a bit like what Barclays has done. But I wouldn't focus this only on fintech. I would keep it as a general startup pad, to launch a business, but focused on helping students either from Georgia Tech or affiliate universities.
So London-based, CreateX, FinTech Ventures, some sort of connection, right? Something like that. I'm not sure if this is us to GT or GT to us. It's
GT students and...
It's both, right? Yeah. Okay, this has come both ways. All right. This is getting cluttered, which is a good thing, but I'll have to reread it later on. Fair enough?
Oscar, can I add another question?
Please.
You talked about employment, etc. There's something I would like to explore research.
Research.
So, opportunity for alumni to be able to ask Georgia Tech for specific subjects that go deeper. For example, to explain the blockchain to me, or what do you know about deep tech? What is the greatest innovation in IoT? What is your view on drones and things of that kind? That I can actually relatively easily get to Georgia Tech and get some insight from some of the amazing professors that we have there. But also potentially even post questions.
Brilliant.
People, alumni, whatever, helping and collaborating and hosting the problems.
That's brilliant. Actually, I just did that with Shudir and Keith because I'm myself doing my own research. I'll be in Atlanta for a few days. Luckily, being here, I have them in front of me, and they just jumped in to help me out to do a better job with my research, for sure, in AI and blockchain and so forth and so on. So I like that very much.
One thing that we can do in exchange for that is this: we could be authorized to actually distribute that information to our clients, to our social networks, and so on and so forth. To say, okay, this is a report from Georgia Tech on this subject, and that would
helps.
Have a positive impact on the perception of Georgia Tech as a cutting-edge environment.
Citing.
I think you're absolutely right. When you're doing due diligence on a company, and especially from a tech perspective, we're always looking for tech experts. There's so many professors at tech who are real experts, who can give us a real view about how the tech is developing. And at the same time, the school could probably make a bit of money with it because we pay for these tech due diligences. So if we had an access channel, I think any PE firm would want to access Georgia Tech's professors to get the expertise.
We can continue, if you wish. Enough for actionable now? You want to get ambitious and wild? Listen, we are down to earth, dude. What are you talking about?
I think just move all those things
To here.
to the ambition, and that would be, I mean, it's a pretty big ambition, so linking up different silos, being able to create, this brand and things like that, I mean, that's a pretty big ambition. I understand, I was having a conversation earlier about, the fact is, Georgia Tech seems to be well regarded already. Somehow, me going there, maybe it's because I come from the States, I don't realize that. I mean, it seems to have a brand in certain areas, and I certainly don't realize that. So the ambition is somehow.
Would you agree? Ambition is not playing well here? How well did we prioritize? I mean, let's tell them what to do. Would that be fair? Or you want to go differently?
I don't mind.
You don't mind? Is that okay if we give you work? GT VPs? Why not, right? So if this team, priorities, if this team were to prioritize this, which you cannot read, I did some ticking already on what I was hearing, but I heard a lot about the talent part, the centralized messaging comms database, and branding, together with PRs. What would you think would be the number one thing you want to get this thing rolling?
Looking at this, you can actually shoot two birds with one arrow. Is if you build a very strong alumni network that automatically starts getting people connected. If people start getting connected, they start talking about Georgia Tech within their own subset communities. So it helps you with the branding. So I think for me, the priority number one would be to create an alumni network, which can talk to each other irrespective of where they are in the world.
But we do have a network, right? So I'm just trying to figure out what is it.
I think the comment is we don't. We as alumni, again, I've been to 2 events and this is my 3rd in the last 17 years of living in London.
So I just give it.
Actually, I never went to one when I lived in Dallas, and I never went to one when I lived in San Francisco.
So I'm going to draw a parallel with how I see it. Probably I did not know about it. So the other school I went to is Supelec, and in Supelec you have a alumni network which you can log into, and you can actually filter down by who you want to connect with, in which part of the world. A, and B, Supelec organizes events regularly. You can attend or not attend, but you're informed about them in different parts of the world. And this way they keep getting people attracted to come and talk. And so this has been a big attraction.
So for you, this is foundational to the rest.
Yes. They
If
help you
anything.
just bond and reconnect with your old colleagues.
I'm an alumnus of a French business school, and they have an amazing directory that you go to. And this directory is not opt-in, it's not people have to opt in. Everybody's given an instant email that you have always active and you link up. So once you go in there, everybody connects to you. You can update it, not update it, but you can always get through to an alumnus if you find them in there. Why shouldn't Georgia Tech have something?
Yeah, I agree.
The simple directory that works. That's what you're saying.
Everybody's saying, you know you're an alumnus, upgrade your profile, we would like you to, if you don't, it's your loss, but you're fine with it.
But as a compliment, this is what McKinsey does, that you can post job slots. I'm searching for somebody. Can somebody deal with this?
I think these are just like 2 capstone projects for a computer science student.
I don't think we understood you.
Oh, I said these are just like 2
Take off the micro. You speak your voice.
I'm saying these are just like capstone projects for a computer science student, right? Like I feel like we should get these done like this semester.
Sorry.
Alessandro, hit on the point and a theme, which I think runs through a lot of this, which is that if you want to activate an alumni network, you have to think, what does that alumni network need from you? Right? Like, in the sense that you're asking Georgia Tech graduates out of gratuity for being a member of getting that premium, who all felt like they worked their ass off to get it, and you want them to help you. You have to, there has to be kind of
goals, needs based.
Exactly.
All right? And that input comes from the alumni.
It has to be goals based because profiles, everyone has written profiles, has to be some.
LinkedIn is the profile already, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
some private thing we want to talk about.
I love the email thing. Just love it.
Can I just ask another question? One of the things that a lot of us do is that we're looking at innovation and research and have access to people to do stuff for us. So we all have our own, we want to build a prototype of something, we will go to company X, company Y to help us with. Is Georgia Tech able to help us, for example, do research on a specific device or to some ceramic that you want to look at? Something that is
Change the
specific.
world.
Is there a possibility that we can say, can Georgia Tech help me with this robotic issue, or help me with this IoT idea that our business has, and we're going to research it? Is that possible? Does that exist? And if it does, how do we tap into it?
Funding probably plays a role.
To be very honest, Georgia Tech has to pay its bills.
Yeah.
No, but we're saying that you would be
No,
the client.
let me finish. So, you can certainly, any of you, any corporate structure, engage in sponsored research. That happens all the time. We have $850 million and about 120 now million of that is corporate research. So they happen. The other way that it can happen is by you engaging private professionals that will do something for you in a consulting basis. Georgia Tech will not get involved in that because of conflict of interest issues and that's separate. But it could help in terms of providing expertise directories that we do not do. You would have to go to the websites and dig up. And what I think we do not do that well is a single point of contact where you can go or a corporation can go and find that expertise.
That's what was done in Zurich at the ETH. They have an office called Transfer. They have a list of experts and you can come. The professors can do consulting, I think 20% of the time for their own money. But you can go to this office and say, oh, there's the IoT experts, there's 3 professors or this guy.
We have that. It's just that you find not one office.
This is scattered.
It's not centralized.
Scattered.
That will make it difficult. But don't, to address some of the issues, and when I have my chance to talk, I'm going to put an onerous on you also. If you know me, you realize that I don't. I'll give you something back.
Oops.
But look, you talk about MIT and you talk about Stanford, and they're fantastic. There's no question about it. By the way, our number 1 competitor for students now is Stanford. Okay, so to give you an idea of what level we're playing in many ways. But those individuals, if you walk into Stanford or to MIT, and I spent most of my career there, and you say, I want to talk to Professor Grass at MIT, the answer that you will get is, how much are you paying? I'm not kidding. That's the way. If you are GM and you're paying $250,000 a year to have that privilege, you can talk to me anytime you want.
So are you saying that it's impossible to have a situation where I would have
No, I'm not saying it's impossible. All I'm saying is
service that
He's been realistic.
problem can Georgia Tech help us?
Alessandro, I'm not saying that. We do a bad job, in my opinion. I'm agreeing with you. All I'm saying, don't think that grass is much greener anywhere else. They have different systems at work, and they're historical, and it's a trajectory, right? So it's just what it is. But we have a lot to learn.
Can I answer your question on that? So that's a historical thing. So if in 20 them the problem, they come back, this is the bill, okay, so what, isn't that something that we can do?
If it is on a, the answer is, I repeat, single point of contact, we can do better. If it is research, we can do research. If it is consulting, the university will not do that.
So you cannot put me in touch with the professor?
No, I can put you in touch with the professor, the name is you and the professor, you figure it out.
It's a different type of.
But I can put you in touch.
Who
I should be able.
is the leading innovator and who is the leading professor to ask this question?
Yeah, and that is done, but we do a bad job in that you're gonna get bounced around, and you're right on that. You're gonna get bounced around big three offices that I think of, that have their title corporate something. There should be one, and that's the problem. Know what I mean? Yeah.
Sandrine? Oh, any other comments? How are we doing in time?
We are up.
We are out of time? Okay. All right. So before we move on, I wrote a few things. I think this is food for thought. Very, very good exercise. And I would like you guys to give a big applause to these three people who just bravely did it. Good job.
Samantha, you're the, I don't know the age.
So do I speak about the app? Yes? Yes? Okay. So I have one more task to do. On your tables, you're going to find some cards that read Kahoot. It's an application that we would appreciate you if you can download into your mobile phones real-time feedback. So if you could spend, what, a few minutes, 5 minutes, or how does that work?
Yeah, 2 minutes to download the app.
2 minutes to download the app, and then you start filling in,
Yeah.
and we reconvene in another 5 minutes because they need to type.
Yeah. So actually, you download the app, and then we will go through this interactive survey. So we will have a feedback from you because this is a nice way to end the session, to have a feedback from you and knowing you a bit better. So you download the app. For those of you who do like not to, who don't want to download the app, you have printed hard copies on the table. You can tick that and drop it at the desk in the main entrance. But that would be more funny on the app thing.
So how much time do they have to give the feedback? We give them 5 minutes?
Actually, you download it. It's 5 minutes to download the app, and when it's ready, I will give you the PIN code to play together.
Oh, okay. So we play together. Ready to play. I have no clue what playing is, but... Hello? Are we ready to play? What does playing mean? Oh, you ask the question and they answer on the spot. All right. I got it.
So, Alessandro, first question.
Where are you from?
10 seconds.
Like, what do you mean from?
Where were you born? You can write the cloud. That's a bit questionable.
Can you put some more time?
No.
Can you add time? Can you add time? Is that possible? No?
I can't.
You gotta be quick. All right, next. So GTL is Lorraine, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry, this is in the middle. Are you or were you, right? Have you been, right? As well. So, have you ever been an entrepreneur? Why are you here? Network. You can also say father. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. Oh, we know the winner there, right? Oh, wow. Next Forum City. So Germany gets 2 votes, huh? That's This is called a skewed statistical approach, huh? Whatever the weather. City choice in EU. So what is EU?
Thanks a lot.
So what is the net? What is the result of this? Do you have like a summary or?
Yeah, I have an Excel file.
Next time you said?
Yeah.
All right. We can always improve, right? The floor. You go on now? Or you go?
I have one final announcement for Alessandro for being a chair extraordinaire and working a lot on organizing and recruiting and
There was no need, I was going to get out of here, Martha.
it wasn't enough. You always have an option. You're a big boy. And you have lots of excuses. You could have given